Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Just wanted to again remind you about cell phones, please. We have wireless mics. Sean and Trevor have those. Please introduce yourself with your first question if you don't mind. And with that, I'd like to introduce Oregon State President Ted Ray.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. It's obviously a great occasion. I have really two sets of announcements to make. First, I'm not saying anything till we sign the contracts, so I've got two contracts here for both of us to sign, and then we'll proceed with the opening and give you lots of opportunity to talk to Todd. I'm glad to see that Karen is here. You know, I know a lot has been written about the ties that Todd has to this program, and surely they are important. There is a way we try to do things here and try to represent ourselves, and Todd's a very important part of establishing that. But one of the dividends that I haven't seen anyone write about is that anyone who knows Todd and Karen know they are just wonderful people, very, very special. And I've had a number of people on the staff write to me and just say, based on their personal experience working with Todd and knowing Karen, how delighted they are to have both of them back. So that's a plus that hasn't gotten, I think, the attention it needs. You want to?
Sure.
Shall we? I take longer because I'm left-handed, and it's important for other people to be able to actually read that it's my signature, so I apologize for being slow. It's a good thing I have a short name. Welcome aboard, friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can keep that. That's actually your copy. Again, it's wonderful to be here to meet with you today, and more importantly, for you to have a chance to talk to Todd. Life is such that both of us have been traveling here and there, and that it's taken a while for us to be able to meet with you together, but it's just wonderful to have this opportunity to introduce Todd and to give him a chance to talk about the program. It's obviously a great personal and frankly a professional pleasure for me to bring Todd and Karen Stansbury back to Oregon State University to be hopefully forever members of Beaver Nation. Today's very important for OSU athletics, but it's actually very important for the whole university. It was just about 6.5 weeks ago that Athletic Director Bob Decarolis indicated that he would be stepping down at the end of June, and we launched a national search with the goal of naming a new athletic director by June 30th. This wasn't about hurry up for its own sake. It's any time there are transitions in organizations, and we've all been part of them. The way to deal with stress and uncertainty, nobody knows what the future is going to hold during times like this, is to try to get on with it as efficiently and effectively as possible. And so we've worked really hard to try to get us to this point, and I'm very glad that we've been able to move as quickly as we have. From the start of this effort, my commitment in hiring Oregon State's next athletic director was to select a leader who is immediately capable of growing fan excitement and engagement and taking it to new levels, improving the game day experience for fans, contributing to the academic success of our student athletes, and in fact for all OSU students. Building on my personal commitment to increase OSU's athletic success, we will consistently compete for and win championships and win them the right way. We've talked about that before. And lastly, contributing to the this effort will contribute to the remarkable transformation that is occurring throughout Oregon State University, where everything we do is about excellence and leadership. I'm very pleased to say that we found the perfect person in Todd Stansbury. Our search evaluated nearly 36 college and professional sports leaders, and we conducted interviews with a diverse pool of men and women finalists for this position. And I really want to say these things always have to be kept confidential, but I really appreciate the caliber, the quality of the people who were willing to engage in this search process, that they were willing to consider the possibility of coming here and giving us their time and attention is not something we take for granted. In the end, we definitely hired the right candidate and a person who well fits OSU's DNA. Before I introduce Todd, I'd like to recognize a few people. First, Athletic Director Bob Decarolis, who is completing a pretty remarkable 17-year tenure at OSU. He led completion of more than $180 million in improvements to Oregon State's athletic facilities, including Beaver Sports' new transformative project, the $42 million Valley Football Center project that will be going on within Reser Stadium. Bob cares deeply about student athletes and winning with integrity, as do all of our coaches, and I know Todd does too, and that's very important to us. I'm grateful to our Athletic Director Search Committee, chaired by distinguished professor, OSU professor Joey Spadafora, for the outstanding work that they've done. I think Joey's here somewhere. Okay, well, you can applaud him. I think they did a pretty terrific, I think they've done a pretty terrific job. There are several members of the search committee here with us, and thanks to each of you, and hopefully you'll be able to stick around and talk to some of the reporters if they wish to. I want to also give special thanks to Marianne Vidra, Senior Associate Athletic Director and Senior Woman Administrator, who will be serving as Interim Director of OSU Intercollegiate Athletics during the transition month of July. Todd just signed that he's going to be on the job August 1st, so we're going to hold him to that. I'm especially pleased today to introduce Todd Stansbury, Oregon State's next Vice President and Director of Intercollegiate Athletics. Todd returns to Oregon State with a proven record of creative leadership, winning at the highest levels, teamwork, and growing fan, alumni, and donor excitement and engagement, which he took to new levels at the University of Central Florida. He'll join me and other OSU colleagues as we strive for even greater excellence in the classroom, on the field of competition, and in our drive to provide outstanding service to Oregon, the nation, and the world. Good is no longer good enough in anything that we do here at Oregon State University. Our graduates are, in fact, our greatest contribution to the future, and we prepare them to compete with anyone, anywhere, and any time, in the classroom, on the playing field, in their careers, and to serve their communities when they're called upon to do so. You can count on that. You have my word on it. We are all in. Please welcome Todd Stansbury, Oregon State University's new Vice President and Director of Intercollegiate Athletics.
Thank you, Dr. Ray. This is obviously a great day for Karen and myself, and I'm glad you actually stole some of my thunder. But in most places in Central Florida, as well as Oregon, it's typically Karen and Todd. And a lot of times I'll be, when I'm introduced to somebody that I've never met before, they'll ask me if I'm actually the husband of Karen Stansbury. So I want to thank Karen, who's really been on this adventure with me for a very long time, and that's not because we're old. It's just been, it's been an incredible adventure which has literally taken us around the world, and now we're going to zig and zag back across the country for one more time. I'd like to thank Dr. Hitt at UCF, my staff, their faculty and administration for really embracing my vision of using intercollegiate athletics as a tool to develop young people that will go out and change the world. I want to thank Bob Decarolis. If it weren't for him, I would not have been here the first time and probably would not be sitting here today. He was obviously my boss, my mentor, a great friend, and I want to thank him for all that he's done at Oregon State. And I can actually say that some of my most proudest moments in this profession were some of the things that I was able to do as part of his team while we were here for 9 years, and really set the stage for now, which I think is a great stage of facilities and great coaches, and the focus has always been on the student athlete, which can't be said everywhere. I'd like to thank Joey Spatafora and the search committee. Obviously, they felt highly enough about how I did with them to give me the opportunity to meet with Dr. Ray, and so I'm incredibly thankful for them and for them really putting me through my paces to make sure that I was the right person for this opportunity. And then Dr. Ray for bringing us back to Beaver Nation and to be part of his bold vision for this incredible university. My mission, or my goal for OSU athletics is that we'll be an indispensable partner to the university in helping it fulfill its mission. I want to thank a lot of my, I have a couple other people that I want to thank, and I just want to set the table with a lot of my philosophy, in fact, all of my philosophy regarding the role that intercollegiate athletics can play not only on a college campus, but also in the lives of some pretty incredible young people, is my own personal experience as a student athlete myself. And my journey to this point really started probably when I was 10 or 11 years old on a family vacation in Daytona Beach, where I came in contact with some football players from Georgia Tech. And at that point I made the decision that is exactly what I wanted to be, and that's what I wanted to do. And there were a couple of hurdles at that point. One, I was from Canada, and I played hockey. And I wasn't really going to have an opportunity to play football until I got to high school. But that's the goal that I set for myself, that I was going to go to Georgia Tech on a football scholarship. So I want to thank my parents, because they allowed me to dream impossible dreams, and despite the fact that there were many that said to them that, how can you let him think this? He's only going to get his heart broken. It's never going to happen. And all the things that people like to do to protect their children. My parents were not about protecting me. They were about allowing me to dream the biggest dream and then go for it. It was my path to football was started kind of auspiciously in that as a freshman in high school, my first opportunity to play, I was 5'2", 127 pounds. They gave me number 65 and put me at defensive back, so I had an illegal number and would never make it onto the field. Things worked out, and I did have an opportunity to go to Georgia Tech on a football scholarship, which, if the Daytona Beach trip was the first defining moment or fork in the road for me, the second was the opportunity to go to an incredible place like Georgia Tech on a football scholarship and be mentored by a coach by the name of Bill Curry that really changed my life and changed the whole trajectory of what I could be. My athletic director was Dr. Homer Rice, who I believe if you're the '1 AD in the country now, you win the Dr. Homer Rice Award. So I was incredibly fortunate that those 18 to 22-year-olds that stole my heart on that beach in Daytona Beach that led me to such a fine institution and surrounded by people that cared about me and actually pushed me through the athletic experience to become more than what I thought was possible. And that is why I believe that intercollegiate athletics is an incredible opportunity for us to cast a very, very broad net to young people, and then because they will do anything we ask them to do just because they want to play a game. It's up to us to ask them. Most people think we're in the entertainment business, and I'm sure that the reason we've got 6 television cameras here and a full room is probably not because of graduation rates. Probably has a lot more to do with wins and losses. And ultimately, you know what? We will be judged by wins and losses, and we will be judged by graduation rates. But I believe that the thing that will determine the success of our program over the long haul is what our student athletes are doing 5 and 10 years after graduation. At Oregon State University, we call our student athletes everyday champions because they're champions every day, not just game day. And that's going to be the brand of this program. It already is the brand, and we're just going to continue to build off of that. And when people think about Oregon State athletics, they're going to think about our student athletes and their success not only on the field and on the court or course or whatever it is that their athletic endeavor is, and not only that we're going to graduate them and that they're going to do well in the classroom and that they're involved in the community, but they're going to go on to great heights, great success, and they're going to make us all proud. Nelson Mandela says sport can change the world. I truly believe it can change the world, it can change lives, and I believe that I'm an example of that. And so as far as why I believe that this is more than just entertainment, it's more than just a game, is because right now in this country, the number one predictor of success of your ability to go to college or your ability to be successful in college is an SAT score. It's not high school GPA. It is zip code. It's where you grew up. It's who your parents are. It's who your dad is. Athletics doesn't care what your zip code is. It casts a broad net because you know what? We're looking for athletes. It's a total meritocracy. We're looking for student athletes that can compete on fields and on courts, but also in classrooms, which means zip code doesn't mean a lot to us. It doesn't matter whether your dad's a banker, a lawyer, a cop, or whether you have a dad. And so I believe that what intercollegiate athletics offers is that opportunity to young people that in many ways may not ever have another chance to come to university, and especially one such as Oregon State University. Another statistic that drives me in this business and why I think we're incredibly special is the graduation rate for first-generation college students in this country is 11%. It's not very good. Yet student athletes that are first-generation college students graduate at the same rate that everybody else does, and that all other student athletes graduate, and that's typically in most places higher than the general student population. And then the last statistic that drives me, and the reason that I think we're incredibly important not only to these universities and to these young people, but to this country, is that right now in this country, 75% of those that are between the ages of 17 and 24 are unfit for military service. Whether it's because of health reasons, incarceration, drugs, you name it, they haven't graduated from high school. Well, you just think of our student athletes, they're all qualified. And the thing about that small pool, which goes from 34 million to about 7 or 8 million, is those are the same people that not only the military want, that's who everybody else wants. And so when we talk about everyday champions, what we're ultimately talking about is producing the leaders of tomorrow and the leaders that this country is going to need. And so those are, while it is about wins and losses, because you know what? We're teaching people how to win, but it's ultimately how to win beyond the playing fields. So I guess I want to close with, we're going to have lots of wins and losses. We're going to graduate our student athletes, but graduation is going to become the norm, and is the norm, but that's where that's going to be the beginning of the road, not the end of the road. And our focus is going to be, what are you doing after graduation? Where are you going? What are you going to do? What is it that you want to do? And how can we grab the hearts of these young people and help them become more than what they think is possible, just like my coaches and my athletic director did for me. So appreciate this opportunity. We are so happy to be back, and with that, I'll just say it's great to be back at Beaver Nation.
Okay, question.
Hi, Connor Letourneau from the Oregonian. What specifically about Oregon State made you interested in this opportunity?
You know, there's three things that I've always asked myself whenever I've looked at an opportunity. And the first one is, can we live there? Is it someplace that I want to live? The second is it a place that we can be successful? Can we win? And then the third is it an institution where all of our student athletes can have a great collegiate experience, be successful, and be leaders, not only in athletics, but across campus and in the community? And all those, and I was able to check all of those yes. And then, of course, my just knowledge of this institution and the mission as a land grant to provide opportunity to young people from a broad spectrum. And since that's one of my passions, it just lines up with kind of everything I believe in, and I believe what athletics can bring to the table as far as providing a gateway to an education and a better life.
Kerry Horowitz with the Station Journal. Welcome back, Todd.
Thanks.
And President Ray touched on this a little bit, and of course you were here almost a decade. As you begin this next journey in your career here, how much do you think it helps that you have such strong ties to the community, boosters, alumni, and the such?
Well, I think it's going to be incredibly helpful because as a new athletic director, you know, it takes you probably 18 months to 2 years just to get to know your donors, and of course so much of what we do is a relationship business, and so you're trying to build those relationships obviously as fast as you can, but that's not something that you can speed up. And so I look at the fact that I was here for such a long time. We already have established relationships, gives me basically an opportunity to hit the ground running.
Gina Mizell from the Oregonian. President Ray, you mentioned the wide range of candidates that you sorted through and all of this, but was Todd somebody immediately that kind of came to mind when this job came open? And Todd, from your perspective, just how did this all come together from your end?
Well, let me just review the bidding on the process. We have a really wonderful search committee. You've all seen the names, Joey Spadafora, and you know, we've inserted this. I'm not sure how many people appreciate the significance of it, but Joey literally is a distinguished university professor. We identify throughout the university one or two individuals each year who, by virtue of their research, their teaching, their academic accomplishments, we single out for distinguished university designation, and Joey is one of them. So I guess sort of in sports jargon, we got a really smart guy to lead the search effort. And I was smart enough pretty much to let the search committee work with our search consultants, but really sort of do their work. Obviously Todd, and there were other names that were in the media, his name came up immediately, as did, you know, some others by virtue of having connections to Oregon State University. But I can tell you, this this was a wonderful process of discovery. I think all of us who've worked with Todd and have known him knew that he was very instrumental in setting up some very valuable and important programs here. The Everyday Champions, the Beavers Without Borders, the leadership programs that he and Mary Ann really pioneered some years ago. So he was a known quantity in terms of some of the very good things he did while he was here, but it really is the whole body of work. And not everybody on the search committee had ever met Todd before or knew him, or if they did, they knew him in a different role, not as the AD. And as they talked to him and as they reviewed the body of work and all that he's accomplished at the University of Central Florida, there was really a unanimous sense that this is the right person for this institution, and that made it pretty easy for me. You know, I think the last time I ever won anything in sports was 1958. We won the 109th precinct baseball championship. That was my high point. So we don't want to leave a lot of athletics decisions in my hands. So it was great to have a terrific search committee and to have such a clear body of work of success and accomplishment in exactly the kinds of dimensions in which we're looking to take this program to the next level. So I'll let Todd.
Sure. I mean, obviously, because I had been here before when the opportunity to present it itself, I was extremely intrigued, but I also had to, I was doing some pretty exciting things at UCF as well, and so I was really trying to balance, you know, my obvious attraction for Oregon State and all that it stands for, and leaving behind some very, very exciting projects, such as the building of a Center for Student-Athlete Leadership, which has been something that since the days of my work with Homer Rice and his Total Person program was the evolution of something that I had wanted to do. But at the end of the day, it really came down to you can't always pick your spots, and timing isn't necessarily always going to be good. In fact, it's usually bad. And looking at the opportunity that Oregon State provided, the leadership that Dr. Ray provided, and knowing what his vision is for this institution, and me being able to play an integral part of that, and using the athletics platform to forward the mission of the entire institution, was really something that I just knew I had to do.
Ben Creighton, KEZI 9 News down in Eugene. First off, Todd, welcome back. Second of all, the relationships that you may already have with several of the coaches here at Oregon State, will that relationship help forge new ones with the new coaches that may come in when you were at Central Florida, such as Wayne Tinkle and Gary Anderson? Yeah,
I think that it obviously helps that the two new guys on the block are surrounded by coaches and administrators and a community that already knows me. But obviously, you know, getting to know them and working with them is not going to be any substitute for great recommendations. So I'm looking forward to working with them. Obviously, I've had the ability to watch Wayne's teams on the Pac-12 network in Orlando. I didn't necessarily see all the finishes at 2 o'clock in the morning, but it was definitely exciting to see a packed Gill and the excitement that he's brought. And then obviously Gary's pedigree is impeccable, and I'm really looking forward to working with him as well.
Todd, Sky Muller, KVAL News. Welcome back. Usually when a new AD is being hired, you would think that the athletic department's kind of down in the dumps. Talk about how encouraging this job was, that, you know, your big revenue sports, it appears the stables are stocked.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, the other thing that you know, kind of to go back to an earlier question that really intrigued me about the Oregon State opportunity is the fact that it's, you got a stable of, you know, just great coaches. You got a number of programs that are coming off phenomenal seasons. So this is a little bit different situation for me because it's not broken. But the good news is that one, I think I was part of the architecture with Bob and kind of setting the foundation, and I'm very familiar with it. So I'm just looking forward to kind of building off of the foundation that Bob built and trying to continue on that success and basically put Oregon State in the where it belongs, which is at the top of the Pac-12.
Todd, during your time at Central Florida, what did you most learn in taking that step out and leading your own department after kind of being second in command here for so many years before?
I learned that you got to be careful what you say, because sometimes it can be taken quite literally. And so one day when I said, I think we might need, to paint the hallways, and I show up at work the next day and they're being painted, it was just a suggestion. So I think one of the things I learned is that when you are in the #1 seat, you got to sometimes temper your enthusiasm for certain things, or you may come in the next day and they're already done and you weren't quite sure about it to begin with. So I think that, and just the ability to, you really do set the tone, and what you say does matter. And guess what? Not only your coaches and administrators are hearing what you say, but so are your student athletes. And I think one of the things that is most gratifying is when you hear your words coming back to you, and well, especially if they're positive. But when they're coming back to you, and you know that your coaches and your administration, your administrators, and your student athletes, one, believe in what you say, believe in what you're doing, and are everybody singing from the same hymn sheet.
Any questions?
You've mentioned Bob a couple of times and thanked him. Have you talked to him, or do you plan to kind of pick his brain over the next month or so before you officially take over on August 1st?
Sure. Yeah, we've talked a number of times, and of course he's going to be an incredible resource, and we're extremely good friends. So I will be talking to him both professionally and personally over the next little while, until I guess we get to Michigan, and then we'll probably not have to be able to talk for a little while, at least till after the game.
Todd, obviously you're in Conference of Champions, big-time conference, but what's your vision on making sure if your programs have success that OSU doesn't become a stepping stone for them to go on to, elsewhere?
Sure. I think so much of that is the culture that you create, and that knowing that there's always going to be somebody that can pay more, might have the newest newest facility, whatever. So I think it's really important, one, that you create a culture that makes it so that people don't want to leave, and so that when they are given an opportunity, it's got to be so significant that I'm going to help them pack, because I say you've got to take it. And that's not much different than, well, it's certainly no different than our situation at UCF. And so I think the most significant things that you can do is create a culture that people want to be a part of, where they know they're valued, where they know that they can win, that they're supported, and make it really, really hard. And I think the advantage that we have in Corvallis is that people don't like to leave this community. And I think that it's pretty interesting that even coaches and administrators that have been gone for decades come back here in the summer on vacation or own property here. And it's pretty crazy when you see athletic directors from 15 years ago in downtown Corvallis, which I heard recently happened a couple of weeks ago. So I think that the community, but you got to create that environment that makes it more than about the money.
Todd Stansbury from the Register Guard. Do you come in with kind of a 60-day plan, a 90-day plan of sort of things you want to do right away, or, you know, when you come in the fall and it'll be pretty busy, do you have kind of a timetable on when you kind of want to look and assess things or kind of bring in some of your changes? What's kind of your, you know, the first 100 days type deal?
Yeah, I think, well, there are some things where you just got, you don't want to jump the gun on. And so you got to be really, really careful not to think that you know everything. And so while I'm pretty impatient in a lot of things, that's where you got to kind of show restraint. But there is going to be some low-hanging fruit that I think that we can, you know, I feel pretty comfortable that we can look at and start implementing right away and those types of things. So I think it's a combination, but I don't have like a 30, 60, 90 day. It's more of, you know, what can we attack right now? What do we need to start, you know, laying the foundation for at a later date, as well as also not assume that that's the one mistake I don't want to make, is because I am familiar with this place. I have been gone for 3.5 years, and I do have a different lens than I may have had when I left. So I don't want to make assumptions. I still want to do my, you know, listening tour and due diligence and all the things that I would do regardless of what the new job would be. I just think I may be able to accelerate that process.
Anything else?
Todd, Pat Casey told me on Friday that he's happy to have you back just to be able to have somebody to compete with on the golf course. So the first round of golf, who has the edge?
Pat Casey, I guarantee you, has the edge. No, he's just glad I'm back so he's not the worst golfer out there.
I think that's it. Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Hey, thanks for having me.